If you've worked with one of these real estate agents before, my condolences. And if you are in the industry right now, you know exactly what agents that I'm going to be talking about. Today, we are going to be talking about kind of a pet peeve that I'm sure everyone else has, including me, and that is the top 5 worst real estate agents in Alaska. Before we get started though, do make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let's go and jump into today's video talking about the top 5 worst real estate agents in the entire state. The number 1. Well, hold on real quick. I'm going to be listing these off here, and it's not going to be in any particular order on which one of these is the worst, but I will let you decide which one for you is going to be the worst. So the first one is going to be the real estate agent who doesn't answer their text, their email, or their phone call. There is a few things that's frustrating, especially if you're working with another real estate agent and they're not communicating with you as quickly as you need to. Sometimes, it's after hours or it's the weekend and it's not 100% necessary, and there's some stuff you just can't do, when it's not regular business hours. And so I understand that, but every now and then there is something that needs to be done quick and the other agent is just completely MIA. They're either not wanting to deal with the situation, or they just completely stepped out and didn't communicate with anyone where they were going or make any plans on how situations were going to get handled while they were stepping out for a couple of days. So understand, yes, there's going to be some respect for a work-life balance, and also when we gotta go, we gotta go. Okay, so there's going to be some situations that's going to require right now gazelle intensity. And unfortunately, there are some agents that are a little lackadaisical when it comes to communicating, and it can really end up making a situation that didn't need to be a crisis to turn it into a crisis just because there's no communication. And where there's not communication, there is a void that gets created. And unfortunately, that void gets filled by imaginations of worst case scenarios by everybody involved. So by all means, if you are prone to under-communicate, just know that's going to create more problems down the line than just quickly communicating with people on the other side. The second worst type of real estate agent in the entire state of Alaska is the agent who you can tell is just putting on a show for their client. And what I mean by this is you've got some agents that'll go out there and they're just melodramatic and making it sound like it's, if it weren't for them, like the wolves would absolutely just be tearing their clients apart. And it's obvious they're just kind of putting on a show for their client and trying to do a lot of grandstanding and just trying to put on a lot of theatrics that are just not necessary for the most part. Because keep in mind, most of the professional real estate agents up here, or real estate licensees, as they are legally known by, are not, really the culture up here is just let's work together and let's get this done. It's not really what you're going to see in reality TV where everyone's just really cutthroat and out for themselves. No, we're both understand both sides, that we're both representing our clients. We're going to put their interests first. And to do that, we need to be able to remove ourselves emotionally as much as possible from the situation, because people make bad decisions when they get too emotionally invested. And so that's why a real estate professional is going to be there to provide that insight from someone who, one, knows all the knowledge, and two, well, not all the knowledge, but a lot of the knowledge, and two, someone who is going to be emotionally attached enough to kind of maintain that perspective. And when you have someone that just gets it's obvious they're putting on a show for their client, then everything is on red alert all the time. Everything's a disaster. Everything means it's about to be the end of the world. So yeah, it gets old very quickly. It puts a lot of undue stress on everything, and ultimately just ends up with more and more consumers, buyers, and sellers that are just disgusted with the industry. So if this is you, please stop. Number 3, I know I'm going to catch some heat for this one, but the real estate agent who is only sold maybe a couple houses every now and then for the past couple of years, but will still remind you that they've been in the industry for 10 plus years. So I absolutely love people who have been in the industry for a long time, but keep in mind your experience in the industry is going to be based more on the number of homes you've actually bought and sold with helping consumers buy and sell than it has to do with the amount of time you've actually spent in the industry. It does kind of annoy me from time to time. You meet someone, they've sold maybe one house in the last 2 or 3 years, but they've been in for like 10 plus years, and so you kind of get this attitude of, well, let me tell you how it's done. It's like, well, no, that's not how it's done anymore. Like that might have been how it was done back in the 90s, but not anymore. And I'm not interested in going to court with you. So just stuff like that. So yes, the person who is going to rely on time in the industry instead of actual experience. Now, if you have someone that has time in the industry and they've got experience, holy cows, that is the person I want to do a deal with because it goes so smoothly and like all the consumers are happy, the buyers and sellers are happy, agents are working together on the behalf of their clients to get stuff done, and it just goes so much smoother. So yeah, that's best case scenario. Let's go and take a break here real quick. For those of you who are looking at getting your homes on the market in the near future here, one thing you might consider doing is reaching out to me for a copy of my free seller guide for those of you who are considering getting your property on the market. And it kind of just walks you through on what it looks like to get your property on the market and kind of some of the do's and don'ts and what you need to start doing. So if that's something that would interest you, reach out to me on my website. Link for that is in the description section down below. When you're registering, just make sure you put seller guide in the little comment section so I know what to send you. Now, let's go ahead and round out today's list, looking at the next two type of real estate agents that I hate in the state of Alaska. Number 4, and I'm sure we can all agree on this one, the real estate agent that is too pushy with their clients. And you can tell they've kind of got commission breath and they're really just trying to get their clients to buy something because the real estate agent, needs a sale as soon as possible. So, I mean, I understand we are in sales and the stress can be very high sometimes because there's no salary, there's no hourly rate, there's no backup plan. It is either you make a sale or you starve. That really is the way that it is. And if you set yourself up, set yourself up financially though, to where it's not really like one person buying or not buying is not going to be the end of the world, or you're not having any closings for a couple months. If things start getting a little lean, then that's going to give you a lot more stability moving forward, and it's going to create a lot less stress for your clients because the last thing you want to do is be in the position where your client buying a house and closing is going to be the difference between you being able to make your mortgage or not. So let's avoid that entirely. Make sure you plan ahead of time with your finances. Make sure you've got a big nest egg, bigger than normal than most other people would have, just because you're in sales and it's going to go up and it's going to go down. And make sure that you don't put undue stress on your clients because it's ultimately your responsibility as a fiduciary to look out for their best interests and not your own. So yes, make sure as a real estate agent and as a consumer agent's not going to be pushing too hard and trying to get you to do something that may or may not be in your best interest. When I see someone is not really in love with the property, it is not my job to go and try to talk them into buying that property. Okay, because ultimately, even if they decide in that moment, oh yeah, I guess okay, this makes sense, eventually those doubts are going to come back. And I'm going to point out kind of the stuff that I'm seeing, but it's not the same thing as really trying to make a sales pitch necessarily. I provide information, I let you make your decisions from there. The last but not least, number 5, and this is the agent who cannot admit they don't know the answer. And this agent can really get herself or himself into a lot of trouble because they may start just spouting off information. You ask a question, and they're just kind of spouting stuff off, not entirely 100% knowing. And it's okay if you don't know the answer to what it is that the question is being asked. That's perfectly fine. No one is going to know everything when it comes to real estate. You can be in the industry for 30 years and you're still learning stuff. But the problem really comes in when you don't know and you start trying to make stuff up. And the better thing is just to say, hey, I don't know, let me go find out. And as a consumer or a buyer or a seller, I'm pretty sure you can agree with that too. It just sounds much better if you just say, hey, I think I know what that means. I think it means this, this, and this. I'm going to go verify though. And someone who's just going to shoot straight with you like that is going to create a lot more trust, and it's going to be a lot more trustworthy than someone who is just trying to impress and not necessarily to serve. That's going to be a big difference between kind of really anybody on this list and someone who is going to be a solid, top-performing realtor in the state of Alaska is someone who is trying to serve versus someone who is trying to impress. Like there's a big difference, and I'm sure if you're a buyer or a seller, you can feel the difference pretty quickly. So That is going to be my top 5 of the worst real estate agents in Alaska. For those of you who are watching this video, hoping you were going to get a violation with the Realtor Association, sorry to disappoint. Everybody else, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.